Trump's world, and we're just cowering in it. Over just the past few days, Donald Trump deported hundreds of Venezuelans to El Salvador, despite a judge's order, extraordinarily renditioned a pro-Palestinian Columbia student with a green card, declared that CNN and MSNBC should be illegal. By the way, I'm not against everything he does. No. But perhaps most impressively,
yesterday, the president played in a golf tournament at Trump International Golf Club in Palm Beach County. He later took to social media to announce his championship win, calling the victory a, quote, great honor.
Oh! He won the tournament at Trump International. How did that happen? This dude's whole life, he's like the Make-A-Wish Batman kid. Hey, look at that, Donald. You caught all the criminals. Look, I'm opposed to anyone rolling back American democracy, but I do tip the cap to any 78-year-old winning a golf tournament. And by the way, still having enough energy left to stroll into the command center in his golf attire to bomb the shit out of Yemen. Yeah. Now look, anyone can bomb the shit out of Yemen after 9 holes, but 18? By the way, when he did that shift at McDonald's, did they just let him keep the headset? Is that? While they're bombing the shit out of Yemen, he's like, hold on, I got fries at the drive-thru window, hold on. By the way, by bombing Yemen, Donald Trump continued a presidential tradition dating back decades. It may have been what the Wright brothers invented the plane for. How much better do we have to make this for it to be able to reach and bomb the shit out of Yemen? But fear not, because Democrats put on the back foot finally have an opportunity to stand up and show their dispirited party they still have the principle and the backbone to face down this wannabe tyrant.
Republicans need at least 8 Senate Democrats to reach the 60 required votes, or the government's going to shut down at midnight tomorrow night.
Oh, shit. It is on like Donkey Kong. It turns out the Byzantine Senate rules have presented a golden opportunity to the minority party, because the budget the Republicans are proposing is a non-starter.
This is a terrible CR.
A bill that is designed to hurt the American people.
It would cut by nearly 50% funding for medical research.
To take away nursing home care from millions of our seniors.
There's more than $1 billion of cuts to veteran benefits.
I'm voting no.
I will be a hard no.
Vote no. Hell no.
I am even more hell no.
Can you be more hell no? Is that like, hell no? H-E double hockey stick? By the way, like, who's this dude fooling? You know that salty language isn't you, Merkley. Dollar in the swear jar. It's H-E double hockey sticks from now on. But this abomination of a budget shall not pass. Because, Senator Schumer, please remind the people what is necessary.
Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate.
You don't have the votes. You need congressional approval because you don't have the votes. Because the filibuster requires... I only saw the play once. You see, Republicans, your little evil budget plan might have worked if you hadn't forgotten that one Senator Schumer is Charles in charge of the Democratic Party. I'm afraid your diabolical scheme has been foiled.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer set off a firestorm heading into this weekend when he changed course and announced he would vote to move forward on a Republican-backed funding bill.
Turns out you had the votes. Republicans had the votes. What the happened?
I will vote to keep the government open. I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people.
But you had said it was terrible. And wait a minute. Oh shit, I know what's going on here. All right, I know what's going on here. All right. Yeah. You had me going, Chucky. You probably got a little something out of this, didn't you, old C-shoe? You wouldn't have given up that powerful leverage on the budget for nothing. My guess is Chucky got some cheese.
Did Schumer get anything from Republicans in exchange for those Dem votes?
He did not.
Senator Schumer, no disrespect, but you are a disgrace to Jewish stereotypes about financial negotiations. That's just... I thought the whole point of us is that's what we do. But you're out there, how much is it? $5. How about I give you $7? Like, what are you doing? And for those of you who may have felt like this was a total capitulation, Senator Schumer just felt like this wasn't the moment for Democrats to press their case because Trump is still too strong.
When he went below 40% in the polls, the Republican legislators started working with us. He was at 51. He's now at 48. We're going to keep at it until he goes below 40. When it happens, I am hopeful that our Republican colleagues will resume working with us.
You're going to keep at it. Keep at it. And what? This was it. This was the it that you would have been keeping at. The keeping of the it. It's not the keeping of the it. That's the issue. It's what the it. Don't you have to start it to keep at it? If this wasn't it, then what it? What is it if this not be it? But apparently the grand plan is Dems keep fecklessly complaining until the 48 approval comes down to 40. Which is a plan, but it's forgetting one crucial piece of information in Schumer's popularity calculation.
Devastating, cascading poll numbers for Democrats. Only 27% of voters have a positive view of the party. The lowest favorability rating in the history of NBC's polling.
You're at 27%. You've got to get Trump to lose 8 points of popularity just for you to get to the point where you're 13 points below him. Your approval is only 7 points above where it turns red and goes into low power mode. Maybe you're not a numbers learner. Maybe a visual demonstration of where you're here. Let me meet you where you live. All right, here we go. I'm going to do this. This is 48% approval. This is them. This is you. This is you. 27%. This is them. Oh, I see. They're much higher. Yes, they're much higher. And if you keep this up, you'll be wearing these on your dick. Do you understand? Jesus. Perhaps I'm being too hard on the Senate. Although I am not. Perhaps he has insider knowledge of a quiet, smoldering Republican amenability to compromise. Perhaps underneath that hard shell of Republican intransigence is a soft, nougaty center of responsible legislative leadership waiting to be freed. Bargains! Driven in the hallowed yet marbled halls of power. Or maybe someplace mustier.
I talk to them. One of the places I told them to go in the gym, you know, when you're on that bike in your shorts, panting away next to a Republican, a lot of the inhibitions come off.
That's your plan. I'm going to dangle my balls out of my shorts and maybe at the gym. Oh, they're going to lose all their inhibitions on the equipment. Actually, Chuck, I would like to work with you on Medicaid reform. And also, I never told anybody this, but I once jerked a guy off in a park. Oh, this elliptical, I just lose my inhibitions. And I would probably be just a skosh more receptive to Schumer's theory of gym-based negotiation strategies if it had worked the last time.
We talk to our Republican colleagues all the time. I talk to them all in the gym. When you're a 60-year-old on a bike panting in your shorts, the inhibitions sort of fall away.
I'm not here to posture shame. But for a guy who seems to be spending most of his life in the gym, a little less talky talk, a little more core. Second of all, in the gym, they're only being agreeable with you because they want you to leave them alone. In the gym, on the stationary bike. Oh, sure, Chuck, yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. But I have to tell you something. Pedaling really hard and not going anywhere, it's a great metaphor for the Democratic Party right now. Really. Also, ball flight. But for some reason, there is a persistent fiction within the Democratic Party that if they just hang out with Republicans in the gym or wait out Trump's popularity or give them concessions on a continuing resolution they said would harm the country, that Republicans will finally see the light. And Democrats will be rewarded with productive bipartisanship. Or, as they put it,
this fever will break. All this excitement about Donald Trump, it's going to break.
So it is like a cult. The fever will break.
Is this the night the fever will break?
A chance to break the fever.
I believe at some point soon the fever will break.
I think you're going to see the fever break.
President Obama saying, quote, "Now I believe when we're successful in this election that the fever may break."
if someone's been running a fever since the aughts, that's not a fever. That is their default resting temperature. This fiction that you are inventing, this idea that somehow, they'll come to their senses, it allows Democrats to keep thinking that Republicans are actually the ones in the precarious position.
They've got a very narrow margin in the House, a bit bigger margin in the Senate. And their goals are internally conflicting.
They don't have the numbers.
Republicans need Democratic votes.
It's going to be clear they can't pass anything without Democratic help.
Congress won't be able to keep the lights on, let alone pass anything of substance, without the buy-in and blessing of House Democrats and Hakeem Jeffries.
It's a great message, except Republicans have gotten everything through, every crazy appointment. The guy who wrote the children's book on Russiagate runs the FBI. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Weekend Fox and Friends guy. They all sail through. Literally, the only one that has failed so far is picking a Chucky doll that runs on cocaine and Viagra for Attorney General. And that's just because the Republicans personally hated him. Probably for something he did at the gym. Look, you don't understand. These Republicans are committed to a plan born of ideological 50 to 60-year project to remake the United States, and classifying it as a fever excuses you from having to propose an alternative, coherent vision and allows you to pretend that this is just an issue of messaging and not merit. But boy, are Dems busy fixing the messaging. Ambitious Democrats have a new game plan. They're going to yak it up about sports and go on more podcasts, or whatever the hell this is.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. Get ready with me while I explain to you how House Republicans are trying to give away your health care to give tax breaks to big corporations. Last week, Republicans introduced their budget resolution.
I'm sorry. I'm having difficulty focusing on what you're saying because I'm terrified that you're a hard yellow light away from getting ready with Dan Crenshaw. Obviously, that is not meant in any way to diminish Congressman Crenshaw's service and how he was wounded in Afghanistan, making a Get Ready With Me video.
Now, one of Trump's big promises for his second term was deporting violent immigrants from America, and he often mentioned one violent gang in particular.
Tren de Aragua. Remove the savage gang. Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua. Tren de Arguay.
Tren de Aragua. You know, the members of that gang are like, is that us he's talking about? Trump sounds like my grandfather ordering Chipotle. I'll take the Barbara Ochoa. Buenos nachos. And over the weekend, Trump announced he was deporting hundreds of these suspected Venezuelan gang members all the way back to El Salvador. So, close enough. And of course, these suspected gang members would be afforded a rigorous legal procedure, including a trial, the presentation of evidence, and all the rights of due process. I'm just with you. He did it, Trump.
The administration invoking an obscure law, the Aliens Enemies Act of 1798, which allows the government to deport people with little to no due process and was last used to round up Japanese Americans during World War II.
Last used to round up Japanese Americans during World War II. Why does Trump always have to pick the oldest, most racist laws to do what he wants to do? I'm cutting taxes under the authority of the It's Okay to Drown Italians law of 1863. It's not just that it's archaic. Invoking that law has some big problems. One is that if you're deporting gang members, but there's no due process, then you don't really know if you're deporting gang members. You're just deporting people who you think look like gang members. And if you start deporting every shady-looking guy with questionable tattoos, I mean, who's going to go to Jets games? But you know what? I'm sure Donald Trump has the cultural understanding to carefully discern who is a member of, what's that gang name again?
Tren de Arguay.
Yeah, you guys are There's another problem with invoking this law, which is it's supposed to be used in wartime. So to make this work, Trump had to pretend that we're at war with Venezuela, which we're not. Not to mention, a pretend war is an extremely complicated concept to throw at the Secretary of Defense on St. Patrick's Day. So, man. Okay, so bottom line here. Okay, there's a lot of legal questions up in the air. So on Saturday, a federal judge decided to pump the brakes.
That federal judge, in an emergency hearing Saturday, ordered any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States, adding this is something that you need to make sure is complied with immediately.
Oh, well, it was a good try, Donald, but the judge has ruled, and that's the way the system works. So Trump brought the Venezuelans back, gave them due process, did the whole Constitution thing. I'm with you again. He ignored the judge.
The administration made a calculated decision to ignore a federal judge's directive to turn the flights around.
My God. I mean, if you had told me that Donald Trump would trigger a constitutional crisis just 7 weeks into his term, I would have said, that is a lot later than I thought. I mean, Donald showed a lot of restraint. I mean, Trump's really becoming presidential. Of course, the administration didn't just come out and say, we don't listen to judges from now on. They had the respect for the judicial branch to come up with some bullshit.
The White House argued that Boasberg's written order was issued when the planes were already mid-air and that his verbal order, some 40 minutes earlier, did not count.
It didn't count? Is that how rulings work? You have to put it in writing, you can't just say it? Well, this is definitely not the first time that Trump has defended himself by arguing that oral doesn't count. Look it up. Look it up. Look, the judge wasn't terribly impressed with that argument, so Trump's lawyers went with another response, which was, "Can't catch me, force field."
The Trump administration argued that the court no longer had jurisdiction once the planes were over international waters.
Yes, okay, apparently the Constitution is not in effect over international waters. That explains Carnival Cruise Line's new ship, the SS Cruel and Unusual Punishment. And while the Trump administration is saying that it has the right to ignore judicial orders, President Trump himself is somehow going even further.
President Donald Trump just took to Truth Social and deemed this judge, responding to this decision here, calling him a radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker and agitator who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama. He says this judge should be impeached.
So there you have it. Donald Trump went from, "Oh, sorry, we would have listened to this judge if we had heard it in time," to, "Actually, this lunatic judge should be impeached." And if you would have told me that all happened in 48 hours, I would have said, wow, again, longer than I expected. Now, some of you might be thinking, Jordan, enough about this constitutional crisis. I want to hear about another constitutional crisis. Well, you're in luck.
Last night, the president posted on social media, said, quote, "The pardons that sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by auto pen."
He's voiding Joe Biden's pardons. It's not enough that he's fighting the judicial branch in the present. He's also fighting the executive branch in the past. He's causing more problems in the multiverse than Jonathan Majors. But yes, I guess Donald Trump just found out about auto pens, which leads us to one of the most annoying events in a Trump presidency. Donald learns about something new, so we all have to learn about it too.
Presidents Biden and Obama both used an auto pen device to sign official documents, a practice that is legally binding.
The actual use of the auto pen dates back to Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson? I mean, I guess that makes sense. When you have that many secret kids, that's a lot of birthday cards you got to sign. Busy man. Now, to be fair to Trump, he's not just saying Joe Biden used an auto pen. It's something far more sinister. A conspiracy so evil that Trump took time out of his busy schedule waiting for the airplane bathroom to discuss.
The whole subject of auto pen, did he know what he was doing? Did he authorize it? Or is this somebody in an office, maybe a radical left lunatic, just signing whatever that person wants?
Yes. Good question. Did Joe Biden really sign the pardons that he said several times he signed? Or did a radical left lunatic sneak into the Oval Office and start signing whatever was in the room? Pardons, laws, doctor's notes, yearbooks. I mean, did Joe Biden really want Cindy to have a great summer, or was it the deep state? Yeah, my favorite part of this whole story is how Trump tried to claim that he would never use an auto pen, only to remember that he actually did use an auto pen.
I never use it. I mean, we may use it as an example to send some young person a letter, because it's nice, you know, we get thousands and thousands of letters and letters of support for young people, for people that aren't feeling well, etc.
Yeah, if I'm doing important things like pardoning January 6ers, I'll sign it myself. But for doing stupid shit like writing letters to sick kids, DocuSign is fine. Speaking of a once-in-a-generation charming sex machine, Elon Musk. Now, oh, baby, I love it. I love it. Now, he's the world's richest man, the leader of Doge, and guy who thinks Sauron is the hero of the story. And say what you want about Elon, but he certainly has his fans.
I love Tesla.
I'm not saying Donald Trump is racist, but that man does love a hard R. But if you step outside of the White House, you'll find a backlash brewing against the founder of Tesla.
Lawmakers across the country facing anger and outrage from their constituents at town hall meetings
And the primary source of the blowback is Elon Musk.
What are you doing to stop the activities of unelected and unconfirmed Elon Musk?
Elon Musk does have a security clearance.
We need to find out what Elon Musk is doing and how we can stop him.
Elon Musk has conflicts of interest out the wazoo.
I support Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency.
Oh, tough crowd. You know you're in trouble when you even pissed off the kid with the cherry 8-ball sweater. It's like the chillest sweater there is. These crowds have been so angry towards these congressmen, some of them have decided to stop holding town halls altogether, which feels a little thin-skinned, considering this is basically the same kind of vitriol an Applebee's bartender gets when the white wine's not filled to the brim. Again, Kyle, I'm sorry I flew off the handle. Papa needs his Pinot Gris. And some people are not content to just scream about Elon in a high school gym. They're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances of arson and vandalism targeting Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh? Cool. Wow. Okay, let me just say, nobody should be breaking the law and blowing up Teslas, especially because if you just wait a few minutes, they'll probably do it by themselves. And in case you're wondering why people might do this, some have been leaving helpful messages.
This is what Tesla employees in Encinitas saw when they arrived to work today. The vandalism is too graphic to show in its entirety. We blurred out the swastika on this white Tesla, as well as the F word on 2 different windows in front of the dealership. Nazi and scum were written as well.
I think you might have wanted to blur out a little more there, because now it just looks like they just wrote. I mean, obviously Elon has a lot of kids, so he's got a lot of, but you don't have to be so overt. The point is, there's a ton of rage directed at Elon right now, which is why last night he went on Sean Hannity and made the case for his victimhood.
Bullets are being fired, charging stations are put ablaze, Teslas are being put ablaze. What have you done that warrants this? Because I see nothing that you have done except help our country.
Yeah, I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things.
I shouldn't have to explain this to Elon, but it's not about the Teslas. Teslas are actually pretty cool as a car. It's got that all-glass thing going on, kind of like a Pope-mobile that f***s. It's got door handles that are hard to find, which is what everybody wants in a door handle. Everything in the car is electronic, so if it malfunctions, you just drown in it, you know? It's like a free coffin. It's cool. It's cool. I give them credit. I don't think people, though, are mad at you because of the Teslas, Elon. If I were to hazard a guess about why they'd be mad, it might be because in the last several weeks, you fired tens of thousands of federal workers, you made cuts to veterans care, life-saving foreign aid, and food banks, you canceled important medical research, sometimes so abruptly that this happened.
Clinical trials funded by USAID, medical experiments have been stopped midstream. Some people have medical devices still in their bodies because the trials were abruptly stopped.
Yeah, people might get a little upset if you stop their medical trial halfway through them. Imagine you had to stop getting your malaria medication or going home with half a butt lift. Imagine it! Imagine it! You'll never buy pants off the rack again. Or here's another guess. Maybe people are mad at you because you don't seem to know what the you're doing. I'm guessing. Because you fired aviation safety staff, then you had to hire them back. You fired nuclear safety inspectors, then you had to hire them back. You cut funding for Ebola prevention and then said, oopsie.
One of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola prevention. I think we all want Ebola prevention.
Yeah, I think we do. And if someone just accidentally cut it, I think we'd all be pretty mad. I might even Banksy some Third Reich ejaculates. Look, I could come up with more reasons, but let's be honest. Elon knows why people are mad at him. We know he's not as smart as he pretends to be, but he's also not as dumb as he's pretending to be right now. And when he goes on Sean Hannity to complain about why people hate him, he's just proving that the troll king of the internet can't handle the consequences of the real world. But you know what? Elon? You know what? No. Here, Elon, if you genuinely want people to not hate you, you could focus on the things you are good at. I mean, you did get those astronauts back. It was a beautiful moment.
The astronaut pair who faced a prolonged stay in space, 9 months versus a planned 1 week, are back on Earth tonight.
It was a team effort between the Trump administration, Elon Musk, and SpaceX.
And how about this welcoming committee? Like we just mentioned, a pod of dolphins seen swimming around as the astronauts waited to be escorted out of the SpaceX Dragon capsule.
You know what? I think that's great. Look, I have to not be a hater for a second, okay? Elon brought them back safely from space after being stranded there for months, and dolphins even showed up to say hi. That is incredible. I mean, I wish the dolphins hadn't welcomed them back with a Sieg Heil, but still. Donald Trump made lots of promises during the presidential campaign, and he emphasized one thing in particular.
Starting on day one, we will bring competence and common sense back to the Oval Office. Restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government.
Kamala says, vote for her, and you're voting for joy. Yeah. What's the one-word counterpart?
Competence.
Competence.
Well, but real competence, real competence, not just he's sort of a competent person. No, real competence.
Yes. The more you say that something is real, the more people believe you. My real girlfriend lives in real Canada. She's just not just sort of my girlfriend. She's my real girlfriend. She's real, and I touched her real boobies. By the way, what room is that? I feel like the beast must have Belle trapped in the room next door, right? But yes, Trump promised his presidency would be marked by competence. And now that we're 2 months in, let's see how that's going.
Some serious security concerns over the newly released JFK files and real anger after Social Security numbers and other private information of more than 200 people were made public on Tuesday. The Washington Post report said among them are former congressional staffers and one of Donald Trump's most vocal defenders, his former campaign lawyer, Joseph DeGeneva. He is furious, telling the Post it's absolutely outrageous, adding, it's like a first-grade elementary level rule of security to redact things like that.
Whoa, man. Looks like 304-556-6622 is really upset about that leak. Man, Social Security numbers, addresses, full names. The only thing that wasn't in the JFK papers was who killed JFK. And Trump's poor lawyer. He's probably like, oh, man, I never would have represented you in your 2020 election fraud case if I knew you'd be untrustworthy. But we can't be surprised. Everything Trump has done so far has been sloppy. Whether it's DOJ not knowing who they're firing, ICE not knowing who they're deporting. Turns out they can't even do a classic DEI purge right.
Tonight, the Pentagon sparking outrage after removing from its website a story celebrating the Army record of American icon Jackie Robinson.
A senior military official tells us tonight that the Pentagon relies on computer software to scrub DEI content from its websites, and that ultimately those stories about Jackie Robinson were removed by mistake.
Yeah. Oh, don't blame us. Blame our racist software. We should have never used Chat KKK. Classic mistake. Be careful where it is. Shoot. The Jackie Robinson mistake wasn't even the most embarrassing anti-DEI flub.
In some cases, photos seem to be flagged for removal simply because their file included the word gay, including service members with that last name and an image of the B-29 aircraft Enola Gay, which dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima.
That's how lazy they were with this. They just Control-F'd for gay-sounding keywords and deleted anything that showed up. Now kids won't know about the Enola Gay, they won't know about transport planes, and they'll never hear about the heroic service of Captain Grinder McScissoring. Tragic. What's extra tragic is this could have all been avoided if they had just named the plane Enola Gay No Homo, you know? But maybe getting things right isn't this administration's top priority. They have a crisis on their hands. Tesla stock is in the toilet. And they can't let that happen. They cannot let... Crisis. They can't let that happen because Elon Musk is a key member of the Trump administration. And more importantly, Republican Party sugar daddy. So, last night they sent Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to Fox News to make a pitch.
I think if you want to learn something on this show tonight, buy Tesla. It's unbelievable that this guy's stock is this cheap. It'll never be this cheap again. When people understand the things he's building, the robots he's building, the technology he's building, people are going to be dreaming of today and Jesse Waters and thinking, gosh, I should have bought Elon Musk's stock. I mean, who wouldn't invest in Elon Musk? You got to be kidding.
Whoa! This is gross. A bit gross. You know, cabinet members should not be shilling for companies. And that includes those Henry Kissinger Hims.com ads. But to be fair, he wasn't just out there shilling Tesla stocks. The Commerce Secretary was pushing Elon products that hadn't hit the market yet.
Go online and look up Optimus. It is the coolest thing you've ever seen. We're all going to be buying robots. They're going to cost about $30,000. You're going to be buying a Tesla robot, and anybody who doesn't buy a Tesla robot is going to be silly.
Yeah! You hear that? People who don't buy a $30,000 robot that isn't on the market yet and will probably strangle you in your sleep? You're going to look silly. These poor everyday Fox viewers must be so confused. They came here for the xenophobia and pretty ladies, and now they have to mortgage their house to buy a robot with a thigh gap. It's so embarrassing that this guy is using his position on TV to sell shit to the American people. Why are you so hungry for Musk's approval when you should be hungry for a Taco Bell build-your-own craving box? A Chalupa Supreme, a burrito, a side, and a drink for under $7. It's called integrity. And it's how you live Moss. Integrity. You know, it's not just the Trump administration. The whole team over at Fox News is doing their part.
I own a Tesla. It's amazing.
I ordered my Tesla today.
I told my wife, hey, I think we should buy a Tesla.
So you're going out to buy one?
Go get a Tesla.
I'm going to buy a Tesla today, by the way.
Okay.
I'm buying a Tesla today.
Nice. Nice! 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 Oh, man! Pretty soon, even Fox is going to stop saying Merry Christmas and replace it with Happy Tesla December to Remember sales event.